that alone. Verse number 66. Food and all such always come again as a matter of course. That which remains free of becoming is one. We are that knowledge itself. All others also remain as its forms. Commentary. In the Chandogya Upanishad, the sun is called Suran, meaning that which is going on. The vital breath, prana, is also called Swaran. They are both identified with Om. Om is just like saying it's okay. In the Sanskrit culture, it is customary to say Om if you agree with something. It is a word of consent. Om is equated to Suran in the sense of what is articulated. The quintessence of all articulation is contained in it. So when you say Om, it is at once a consent, an articulation, and a going out of the breath. The breath that goes out does not come back. The word you speak does not return to you. It goes out, vibrating on and on. In all these senses it is Swaran. What is the consent that the sun is giving? It is both a direction and a consent. It is arousing everyone, saying, wake up, start living. From one side of the globe to the other, the sun is waking everybody up, asking them to do their thing. When I first stayed in Portland, someone gave me a radio. Around 6 a.m., the announcer used to say, "Hi, you guys, get up, lazy bums, it's 6 o'clock." That's exactly what the sun is doing to us. It comes every day and says, "Get up, you lazy bums. It's morning. Time for you to do your thing." When we humans wake up, we need a hot cup of tea or coffee. When the sun comes to the little ant and says, "Little ant, get up and go," it has to find something to eat. So it goes and looks for a spilled breadcrumb or a dead cricket. Fledgling birds wake up in their nests, look at their parents and cry. The parents' hearts are moved, and they fly out in search of food. The ant that leaves its hole and the bird that leaves its nest do not know where any food is. They are searching for it. At the break of dawn, the fisherman takes his net and goes down to the sea. He may pray to God for a good catch. He doesn't know exactly where the fish are hiding, but he has faith they will come to him. Those of you who live in a more sophisticated society and have permanent incomes always feel sure that you can get into your car and drive to the store for food. You think everything is safely arranged, but this sense of security you have is to a great extent illusory. If you ponder over the many possibilities that are becoming actualized to bring you your food, you will see a number of imponderables. Even when you make a cup of tea, there are so many hands involved. The leaves are picked in Asia, dried in a factory, trucked to the coast and loaded on a ship. The sugar is harvested in Hawaii or Havana. There are so many ships plying the oceans, trains running with midnight cargo, people toiling hard in far-off places, and trade unions making bargains with management. So many things have to happen in order for these items to be on the shelf of your grocery store down the street. We have to keep in mind the imperativeness of the need for food. There is no concession made here. Whether it is the little ant, the bird, the fisherman, or the executive of a big industry, the imperative is the same for all. Each needs its own daily nourishment. We also have to take into account the chance factor governing the fulfillment of that need. The necessity which initiates action is almost mechanically rigid, and we cannot bargain with it. The world where fulfillment is to be found is very unpredictable. No one can say exactly where the ant will find the crumb of bread, where the bird will find the worm, or where the fisherman will catch his fish. Yet while these are all unpredictable, the net result is that every day nearly everyone is eating 3, 4, or even more times a day. There are 3 elements here for us to take into consideration. One is the area of absolute necessity, where there is no concession. The second is the field of the operation of chance, and the third is the fulfillment that needs to be attained. A chance has to come in a way that is favorable for a link with another chance, and then another and another, until fulfillment is reached. The net result of the fulfillment is satisfaction. But in between is panic and anguish, the pain and frustration of the search. Here Narayana Guru uses the term ira, which conveys the idea that one has the dire necessity to eat and then finds the counterpart, whatever is to be eaten. The finding of food has a relatively great promise of fulfillment. If you badly want a piece of bread, you can just go into the kitchen and get one. But as you progress from the simple basic need to more acquired psychological needs, such as wanting to hear a symphony orchestra on a tropical beach at midnight under a full moon, your chances become progressively less and less. So there is a hierarchy, a gradation in the fulfillment of needs. The more sublime the need, the more scarce the opportunity for its satisfaction. Between demand and supply, or rather scarcity and fulfillment, there is an inverse ratio operating. Hardcore necessity comes face to face with the laws of probability. The former is certain, the latter more or less uncertain. Out of the dialogue between the certain and the uncertain, there emerges a result which is satisfactory. This is called the world. Phenomenologists like to ask, what is our experience? Edmund Husserl sums it up in one word, the world. And what is this world? He says it is a conjunction of several meanings. Many meanings are linked together to make a whole fabric of understanding, and each person's consciousness is spread throughout this fabrication of all meanings. This totality of meaning is what we call the world. This world is first to be recognized as what we perceive without assigning any philosophical meaning to the perception. Husserl then goes on to examine the validity of this idea. His conclusion is that what we see of any given person or thing is only a partial perception. A person is not just a contour or a form. There are many other elements involved that are not perceptible. Thus the world we perceive is only a fraction of reality. His idea is that we first know a thing through immediate perception, then through an intuitional perception, and finally through a sense of empathy. All 3 elements are important to the process of knowing. A person will often behave in different ways and play different roles in different situations, but we can always identify them in spite of the superficial variegations. We do this by thinking of an essential person at the core of the complex of activities. That a person looks or behaves in a certain way at a certain time is only incidental. For continuity, we rely on the essence, and for continuous comprehension of the world, we are busy deriving the essence of every formal presentation and integrating it into the whole. If we were unable to do this, we would become confused and disoriented. When I am teaching a class, how do I arrive at the idea that a mixed group of individuals of different ages, sexes, moods, etc. are a class? First, I have to reduce all of them to the essential search they are making, and this provides me with a way to classify and systematize them. There are various categories of systems and many criteria for making them, but each of them has their own characteristic essential nature by which we can link the system together and correlate the categories with each other. As Husserl went on examining like this, he developed the two reference points of phenomenal existence and transcendent beingness. Heidegger tried to make it more explicit, with the result that phenomenal existence became one thing and transcendental being became another. Jean-Paul Sartre took this as his study in being and nothingness, and after a careful scrutiny, he came to the conclusion that these two things are like closed boxes. There is no way of entering into them from the outside. You and I are the phenomenal existence we create and in which we participate, and we cannot get out of it. And since it is all produced by our consciousness, there is no way of entry into it from outside. If you introduce transcendence into phenomenality, as Jaspers does, by sort of corkscrewing it in, you have immanent transcendence. Sartre disagreed with Jaspers, saying that when you say immanence, you are already agreeing to at least a very thin veil of separation between the transcendent and the thing in which it is immanent. There is an unbridgeable duality in all this. Thus, these philosophers came up against a problem they did not know how to solve. Here, Narayanaguru overcomes that difficulty. The paradox or dichotomy involved only comes up when we conceive of transcendence as separate from phenomenal existence. But he doesn't see it that way. In the third verse, he showed us that we have to conceive of the whole thing as a treasury of oceanic depth from which waves of phenomenality arise. The waves are not different from the ocean. In this verse, he says, the world of necessity that makes you pass through all these phenomenal bumps, the imperative need, the search and the fulfillment, is an eternal game that goes on and on. It has always been like that, and it will always be like that. But there is also a changeless reality, which does not come and go, and it is the same as the knowledge in which the whole game takes place. They are not in any way separate things. It is within your knowledge you feel a need. Within it you make your calculations as you go in search. The knowledge itself makes you gamble, take risks, and have faith that what you seek will be provided, and that somehow you will find it. The whole process, including its fulfillment, is all happening within knowledge. The Guru says that that which is constant in all moods and changes is knowledge, ariva. The variables are the need, the search, and the fulfillment. The constant is knowledge. He has already described knowledge as the self, that knowledge which resides in the dark and knows by its own light is the self, and not anything other than that. This is the constant ariva. He goes on to say, we are that. He maintains we don't have to draw a line between ourselves and someone else, carefully delineating each other's territory. Everything we experience, along with everything we can think of, is a formation of that. A key word here is vativa. When the water rises up into a certain formation, it is called a wave. That it is only made of water in no way detracts from its waveness. As my friend put it the other day, a tidal wave can kill 100,000 people. So you cannot say it is only a form. That's true. It is a form with a dynamic. By calling it only a form, you take away from its actuality and its meaning within the transactional world, doing in the process a great injustice to the ontological understanding of things. To underscore this point, Sartre called our attention to what he termed ontocontology. He thought simply saying the ontological truth was not enough. So he coined the term, saying we should not miss the ontocontology of things happening. He is right. If we don't insist on the ontocontology, we could claim that after all the wave is only an idea. Sartre gives us a simple choice: either go with the idealists or with the existentialists, and don't confuse their distinctions. To Narayana Guru, this is an artificial separation. We have to recognize the wave, the water, and also their oneness. To prepare us for this idea, in the previous verse, the Guru said, "There is nothing we have not known at least once before." Thereby the knowledge that has gone into us, our own stuff, is first made generic. Schrödinger comes to the same truth in What is Life when he makes reference to the millions of footprints of memory each cell has. How does this verse help us? We are subjected to various kinds of necessities in life. When we focus our attention on the world of necessity, there is a time factor which comes in between the beginning of our search and the moment of its fulfillment. The interim period is filled with a lot of effort and anticipation. Anticipation is not lived in a vacuum. It is filled with anxiety, since we are not sure of the results. We are uncertain of the possibility because probability and improbability are always vying with each other. All our living moments are crowded with the intentionality of our consciousness. If we are always attached to intentionality, the peace, serenity, and joy we look for are constantly being pushed away. In a sense, then, meaning is being transferred from the present to the future. We often speak of living here and now, but we don't realize the almost impossible pressure on us to not live in the present. We are always being made to wait, to look for, to expect, to anticipate. Half the time of our life is wasted in looking for and waiting for something to happen. If we can only establish a firm stand on the constant ground the Guru speaks of, the arivu or knowledge, our attachment and intentionality regarding the phenomenal world become a secondary interest. Our primary interest then becomes witnessing the game of life in the present moment. To enjoy the game of life, we don't just have to act out plans. I can ask my friend to give a performance, and I'll just sit and watch. I am myself, but I am also watching what he is doing. This doesn't mean I am not enjoying every shade of emotion he is creating through his words, gestures, and expressions. I fully relish and enjoy every bit of it. I can even become tearful, but I am not the performer. I am the witness. And while I am enjoying whatever he is performing, I am also living the performance with him. This is a very subtle thing. If you understand it, it makes a real difference in your life. You do and you do not do. You perform everything you are doing now, and yet at the same time you do not do anything. The Gita expresses it as seeing action in inaction and inaction in action. But this can become a cliche. The whole meditation of this verse centers around not making it a cliche but living it. Then you see the whatever, the form aspect, the wave, and fully appreciate it, while at the same time remaining as water. When they were together in Colombo, Narayana Guru suddenly picked up an ochre-colored robe and gave it to Nataraja Guru. Nataraja Guru had one moment of hesitation before taking it, because it meant a great deal. He was young. He had not decided whether he should live the life of a householder or that of a renunciate, or whether he should get his doctorate and take a good job or not. He had not decided anything. So he had one moment of hesitation. Then Narayana Guru said, "The color is only on the surface of the cotton fabric. The cotton itself has not changed." Do you get it? This meant everything for Nataraja Guru. Narayana Guru had called his attention to a very subtle difference. The color was what appeared important, but the material was actually made of cotton. All the implications of the color are only in the phenomenality of life. At no time does your real self change, now or hereafter. Whatever kind of life you live, you can be a sinner or you can be a saint. Wearing holy robes will not alter who you are. The day you go one step further to realize you're becoming a great saint or a great sinner is not going to change yourself in any way. A great calmness will grow inside you. At least you will have gotten over the agony of your guilt. And the free translation of verse 66 is, "In this world of becoming, the food that nourishes the body and everything else come as a matter of course. Everything undergoes transformation. Only one thing remains unchanged, and that is knowledge. We are also that self-same knowledge. Others too are none other than that."